At this time, I'd like to welcome our next candidates for the Board of Education Post 2, Mrs. Pamela Stone, incumbent, and candidate Mrs. Beth James. Please welcome them. All right, well, you saw the first round, so it's going to be very similar. A couple different questions, though. The first question is the exact same, and this goes to Mrs. Stone, and give us a little bit of information about yourself and what is motivating you to run for this office again.
Well, first of all, thank you to all the sponsors that made this possible tonight, and for all of you that came out to hear us speak. I'm not the best public speaker, but I speak from the heart, and hopefully it comes across. Dale and I came here about almost 40 years ago, and I was still in veterinary school at the time, and we started this little practice there in Livonia. We love Franklin County. Our kids were raised here, went to the schools, excellent educations, and all the time that they were in school, I was active as a volunteer. I was working part-time then and had plenty of time to be helpful wherever I was needed. Got involved more so, I guess, with the chamber-sponsored education summits, and you may remember those. I was a parent rep. It seemed like I was at really encouraging community and parent involvement at that time. And I was working behind the scenes, president of the academic honors boosters, and things like that, just sort of quietly in the backstage area. And after I was graduated, I was encouraged to run for the board and made that leap of faith. And it's been a wonderful experience. I feel like I'm making a difference. We've really got great things going on. And I would really like the opportunity to continue. So that's why I'm running again.
Thank you so much. All right, the next question is from Mrs. James. The same question for you. Just give us a little bit of information about yourself and what is your motivation in running for this spot on the school board.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for having us tonight. I appreciate it. I'm Beth James, and I grew up, was born in Franklin County. I was the oldest of 5 children, and I grew up in Livonia, Georgia. And my parents were the late Dr. Billy Ford and Edwina Ford. And so I have been a part of this county since birth. And I love this county. I love Franklin County. I served as an educator for over 31 years. And I served in all the schools in Franklin County. I served in all the elementary schools, the middle school, and the high school. I served either as a teacher, or a librarian, or a coach. And presently, I coach the high school soccer teams, and unfortunately, we're not one of the ones that you will still be able to watch. But we had fun. That was one of our goals, had fun, and we did. I also retired at the end of last year from teaching, and I retired a little bit early, to be honest with you. I had over 31 years. I think it was 31.7. Everybody says I need to round it up to 32, but I'm, always honest Joe, so I can't go. So I'll say over 31 years. And I needed to go home to help with my family because I have a granddaughter. She'll be 2 at the end of June, and her name is Lachlan. And Lachlan was born June 26, 2014 with Down syndrome. And we did not realize until the day that she was born that she had Down syndrome. And with that, she had health issues, 3 holes in her heart and other things. So at the end of the 2015 school year, I really made the decision very quickly that I felt like I would be doing a disservice to the students, the parents, if I stayed in the school system. Because I felt like I was going to have to be out too many days to serve my family and be with my family. And it ended up being a great decision. I'm an avid runner, so I run half marathons and marathons, and in July 4th, I was at the Peachtree, July 2015, and I had just retired, and I said, you know, I really still want to serve. I can't get up and go to work every day and serve the students, which was my love. The students were my love. I said, but I still want to do something, and I'm thinking I want to run for the Board of Education. I did not really understand that was politics when I said that. And, so anyway, my family was all like, yeah, go for it, you'd be good. So August of 2015, my grandbaby was supposed to have what was considered easy open heart surgery, you know, she'd be in there and out of there, fix those 3 holes in her heart, and we'd be on our way. Life did not work that way for us. Like life changes for many of us, our life changed in a blink of an eye when she went in for that surgery. And so I put my desire to serve the people of Franklin County on the back burner. I said, I've got to be there for my family. I've got to be there for my daughter, my son-in-law, and my granddaughter. And we did not know when our journey would end and when she would get healthy again. But as things would have it, she got healthy very close to the qualifying. In fact, it was Thursday, and the last day to qualify was Friday at noon. And her doctors had started giving her a clean bill of health, and I said, I want to do this thing. I want to go serve. I want to, you know, run for the Board of Education. And my family's like, go for it. So I was headed to paint the locker room at the soccer, over at the soccer field. And so I went in looking pretty much like a hot mess. And I walked in and I was like, oh my goodness, what is this? What have I walked into? And I have since learned that, you know, running for the Board of Education is politics, but I'm having fun, I'm having a blast. And so I signed up to run, and my purpose in running is because this county has been good to me. This county has been good to my family over the years. This county has supported my family in good times and hard times. And as an educator, I just felt like that my God-given talents could be used on the Board of Education. I still have a heart of service, and so that's where I felt like I could serve the people of our community.
Thank you. All right, question for you again. What is Common Core? That's a good question. And do you support it?
The Common Core is what the teachers have to use to be able to teach their students. It's the core curriculum that each grade level is given to teach, and it is common across our state. Many times, things like Common Core are not set up by our local Board of Education. This comes from the state level. And there's not a lot of control that we have at the local board on determining the curriculum that we're going to put, you know, that we're going to teach our students. So as a teacher, I was supportive of what I was asked to do, because that was my job. And since that is, what we're being asked to do at the point when I left and still being asked to do, yes, I support it, because that is what our leaders say that we should be doing at this time.
Thank you. All right, this question for Ms. Stone. The vast majority of students in Georgia go to school 180 days. Why don't we go back to 180 days?
That's a very good question. As Joe mentioned, we did the cutbacks, and one of the things that we did to save money so that we could function and protect the classroom and the student education was to reduce the number of days. There were furlough days for the teachers, which had to happen, not as many as in some other counties. And by reducing the number of days, we saved money on energy, on transportation, and some other things. It was not something any of us really wanted to do, but that was one way we could keep functioning without cutting a lot more services and teacher positions. And we wanted to protect the classroom and the student education. That was our main priority. So we were already going more hours, more minutes, I forget how many minutes a day extra it was, than were required in the 180-day schedule. So by adding about 20 minutes more, we were able to meet the state requirement for minutes over the course of the year and reducing the days. It did make the longer days, and the bus issues were certainly, and still are an issue. As the reductions from the state have eased a little bit, they aren't gone. They're still not giving us all the money we're supposed to by their own formulas yet, but they're easing some. And as that money's beginning to come back, we're looking at restoring some of the things we've cut. And one of the things we'll look at is the schedule. Now, for next year, it's still going to be 164 days, because that's the way we've got things worked out right now, and that's what we can fit into the budget. but we would like to get more days back because kids need more time, teachers need more time. I'm speaking for myself, I'm not as the board, obviously. But I feel like we do need to get the kids in class a little bit more, get more time for contact with teachers, to cover some of this curriculum that's being demanded to be put in place. And the teachers are already short of time. They don't have time to collaborate with each other. They're just pressed from all sides. So they need more contact time, more seat time, as they say. And it is handy in a way. One advantage of the shorter schedule is that we have more days for professional learning for the teachers, and that's important too. Otherwise, they're going even longer into the summer, and it's harder on them. They need that time to prepare themselves to be the quality teachers that they are, because standards keep changing, and they need to keep up with that too. But again, I would like to see the schedule get a little bit longer. I don't know in the next few years if we'll get back to 180, but I would like to see some days added back, because I think that would be better for the kids' experience and it would help the teachers out too. But we still need to preserve some time for professional learning, and we need to preserve as much money as we can to protect the classroom experience and the learning.
Thank you. All right, this question from Ms. James. Will you have the courage, and this came from the audience, will you have the courage to stand for an unpopular idea if it is the best idea for students?
If you knew me as an educator, you knew that my students were always very important to me. I had a great love for all students. And if something is in the best interest of the students, even if it's unpopular, and I know that to be in the best interest of those students, then yes, I do have the courage to stand up for what is right for our students.
Thank you. All right, this is for Ms. Stone. With the current economic recession, the budget cuts, why did money get spent to pave the high school parking lot when it wasn't necessary?
I guess necessity is determined by who's looking at it. What we were told, and we sent people that we had confidence in to look at this, was that there were cracks occurring, there were issues that had to be addressed, needed to be sealed and repaired. Otherwise, we would end up spending a lot more money, and it would become hazardous in the meantime. There would be potholes and other issues. So sometimes you have to spend money to protect your investment, basically. And people that evaluated this for us are members of the administration of the maintenance department that we have, and outside contractors sometimes that we call in to give us advice, not necessarily the ones that are going to be doing the work, but just experts that we have come look at these things and we act on that advice. None of us are all experts in these areas, but we act on the advice of those that we trust to give us the information, and we felt like that was the best investment at the time for that money that we spent.
Thank you. All right, Ms. James, what would you say makes you more qualified to be a member of the school board than your opponent?
Well, I guess because I have like 31 years in education, and I have an understanding from a teacher's standpoint. I have an understanding of someone that serves the whole school, because as the librarian, I had to serve the whole school, and I had to meet the needs of the whole school and take everybody's needs into account. And I couldn't pick favorites when I was doing that. You know, I had to make sure that all the grade levels got what they felt like they needed. I also have an understanding of how hard the coaches in this area work. When I was asked to coach soccer a few years ago, I was like, no, I don't know how to do that. And yet there was no one else available to step up and do the job. And I said, well, I'm not going to let those players that want to play soccer not play their sport. So I stepped up, and I still have trouble calling myself coach, but my players call me Coach Joe. And I coach. So I have an understanding of what the coaches go through too. I've served on several different committees within the school system, from SACS to the tribunal that we have for students who maybe have had issues where they need a little extra help and can't be in the regular system for a while, have to go through. And so I feel like my experience as an educator just matches the Board of Education, and that's where I feel like my God-given talents are, And as a Christian, I feel like my service should be to other people, and that just matches what what I'm all about, what my whole life has been about.
Thank you, Coach. All right. This will be the last question for you, Mrs. Stone, and then I'll give you both some time. In an article in the newspaper, Dr. Odell stated that the school system spent $135,000 of the Ed Bryant Foundation money on technical supplies. Did you vote to allow this? Why or why not?
I was on the Ed Bryant Board of Trustees at the time, and I guess that's a cumulative total. I'm not sure, because we never spent that much at one time, but over several years, we had set it up the way we thought at the time that we intended. And many grants were sent in from the teachers requesting what they felt was important at the time to them. And so much of that involved technology, because that's advancing so quickly. And because of the crunch that we were having, the school system could not provide a lot of that. One of the first white smart boards in our system was actually purchased through a teacher's mini grant that was brought to the Ed Bryant Foundation. And that, when it got into the system and others saw how it was used, and it became evident that was such a great teaching tool, then the system began to find ways through SPOS funds and other things that could be spent for technology to try and supply that to other teachers so all students could have the benefit of that particular technology. So it was almost like a pilot program in that particular case. Most of the mini grants that we granted were, some were $300 or $400, some were $1,000, $1,500. I think the high school got one that was a little bit larger for some kind of intercom system or something. But I would not be surprised. I don't know the exact total. It is possible that over the 4 or 5 years that we were doing this, that the total for technology came up to $135,000. I don't have that figure right at hand. But I feel like it was well spent, and there was a consensus of the Board of Trustees. We blindly selected these grants. We had no idea who submitted them, what school they came from, or anything. And just based on what they expressed in the grant, how they were going to follow through and monitor it, what it would do for the students, that was really high priority. How will this benefit students? That was the bottom line. And then they were to come back and report, this is what we've done, to be accountable for how we spent the money, and give us a report on how it did benefit the students. So during the time that I was on the Ed Bryant Foundation, we did vote as a board for many of these things, and a lot of it was technology. So as I said, I don't know the exact number, but I probably did.
Thank you. All right. This will be your final question. Just basically tell the audience why you should be elected as the next school board member.
Okay. I was educated in Franklin County. I was given a great education inside the walls of the school, as well as in my little village of Livonia. The people of Livonia helped raise me to be the person I am today. And my daughter Lindy and my son Phil will graduate this May. My daughter graduated several years ago. She's a pharmacist. My son-in-law Kevin went through Franklin County, even taught a couple of years before he became a lawyer. I know the kind of education that these teachers give. I have seen their dedication and their hard work. And I know also that my granddaughter will begin probably in about a year in the special needs classroom. And so I will be very involved in the school system with her. And I just want to take my God-given talents and serve where I feel like I have the knowledge. I am passionate about education. I love this county. I love the people in it. I bring a fresh perspective. I want to maintain transparency within my position. I want to be out in the schools, volunteering if they'll let me. I don't know if it's allowed. Continue to sub. I am on the sub list so that I'm there among the people that I will serve. I also, want you to know that if I am elected, I never do a job at 100%. If you ask anybody who has ever worked with me, I give 110%. And I will give that amount to the people of Franklin County because they have given so much more to me. I'm blessed to call Franklin County my home, and I would consider it a great honor to be your elected public servant on the Franklin County Board of Education. Thank you very much.
Well, we obviously weren't born here, but we wised up and got here as quickly as we could. We live in Franklin County, and we're residents of Livonia, but Franklin County entirely is our home. Since I've been on the board, I feel like I've been able to help make a difference. The board doesn't do a lot of, we don't do the work. The teachers, the administrators, the hardworking students, the parents, they're the ones that do the work. But the board does oversee and have some influence and have some input into that. And I feel very, very privileged to have the opportunity to serve in that capacity. There's some excellent things going on in the system now. The graduation rate going from 58 to 92, I know you've all heard that. It took some time, but even during the recession and the cutbacks, the state at one point changed the rules so that ninth graders only had 4 years instead of 5 years to graduate. It used to be 5 years. And they said, oh, everyone's rate will drop back. Ours still advanced. That's not because of the board, it's because of the teachers and the students and the families. But it's been such a privilege to be able to serve and to see these things happen and to know what it means for our county, for the, not just for the economy of the county, but for the students, their futures, and that means the future of our county as well. Coming up, we've got coming up, we've got the College and Career Center coming online probably in the next 3 to 4 years. That's going to help our kids graduate college and career ready. They'll be able to go right into the industry. They'll be able to go on to college or tech school and advance even further. There's just so many exciting things going on. And it's all about students and their success and what that will mean to us as a county and to parents and to just our future here in Franklin County as a whole. And it's exciting times. I really would like to continue serving. I want to be a part of it.
Thank you.